So welcome to another Stitch of the Week. If you're new to my channel, this series is all about stitch tutorials. I'm slowly working my way through the new Crochet Stitch Dictionary. If you're interested in this book, I'll leave the details where you can get this book in the description box below. This week's stitch tutorial is number 35. It's called the fish scale stitch, and it is on page 21. Now this stitch, you're gonna need to chain an even stitch count plus 1 for your turning chain, so you're gonna have a total of your total is gonna be an odd number. For my swatch, I have chained a total of 21 chains, and real easy for the first row, starting from the second chain, or starting in the second chain from our hook, we're just going to be placing single crochets all the way across. Now you can place these in the side like many people would, or you can put them in the back bump. It's really up to you, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I am just going to be placing my row of single crochets in the side because it's quick and easy. So at the end of this row, I should have a total of 20 single crochets because I started in the second chain from the hook. I am doing a bit of batch recording today, trying to get some stitch tutorials made up for the month of October, since I'll be working throughout October out at Scream Hollow. So if the videos seem a little similar, that's why. Okay, so for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. In this, yes, Kiwi, in this first stitch here, our chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So in this first stitch here, we are going to slip stitch. I do apologize for Kiwi, he's been pretty talkative today. So we're going to place a slip stitch right there in that first stitch. In our next stitch, we're going to be placing a treble crochet. So this is going to be a closed stitch, and it's probably going to have a lot of texture. Yes, I know, Kiwi. In the next stitch, we're going to place another slip stitch, and that's going to be our sequence until we get to the end of the row. A slip stitch, and then we're going to do another treble in the next stitch. And you're just going to alternate those 2 stitches till you get to the end of your row. So right here I have only 2 single crochets left. In those last 2 single crochets, I'm going to place a slip stitch. So 1 slip stitch into each of those single crochets. So this is what this side is looking like. But if you take a moment and look at the other side, those trebles that we've been making are kind of bumping out, and so it's going to create a really nice textured fabric. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And it almost looks like, on the graph, it almost looks like between the 2 slip stitches, but I think we're going to be placing a single crochet in the, not in this slip stitch, not in this first slip stitch, but this second one is what I think is going, where I think it's going to be. I believe it's right there. Now, in the top of our treble crochet, so right here, we're going to be placing 2 single crochet, and from this point across the row all the way until we get to the end, we're just going to be placing 2 single crochets in the top of each of the treble stitches from the previous row. So I'm at the end of the row. I've got 1 treble left. So I'm going to go ahead and place my 2 single crochets in that stitch. And then in the last stitch here, I'm going to place my last single crochet. If I can get my hook in there without my yarn splitting. So this should have given me a total of 20 single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and count real quick just to be sure. Yeah, so that gives me a total of 20 single crochets for row 3. So from this point forward, we're going to just be repeating rows 2 and 3. So it's a pretty easy 2-row repeat. I'm going to chain up 1 to start row 2 again. And again, in that first stitch, we're going to place a slip stitch. And it's going to be a real easy sequence after that. Just 1 slip stitch and then a treble, and we'll alternate like that. and you can see there is on the wrong side of your fabric, you can see that you're starting to get these bumps again. So I'm going to go ahead and work up a full swatch of this stitch, and I will come back on and give you my thoughts on the fish scale stitch. Alright guys, so here is my little fish scale stitch swatch, and you can see it's got a lot of texture to it. This is actually considered the wrong side, and this is actually the right side here. What we got going on here? I don't know why this piece here is sticking out. Maybe that double or that treble crochet was just a little looser than some of the others. So this would be, your right side would actually be the side that I guess you would put on the inside, and then this is your textured side. This really reminds me of, like, you know those shirts that you could buy in the 90s that started out like this big, and they were like a one size fits all, and they were like puffy, and the whole thing was elastic, and they stretched to fit any size. That's what this that's what these little bubble things kind of remind me of. Now I could see working this up in a blanket or as a blanket, but I probably would not use this stitch to make anything outside of a blanket. And I say that because if you look on this side, this edge did not stay very straight compared to this side. Now this side does kind of lean this way or whatever, but this side just, I had to really kind of pull and stretch to get this edge to straighten out, which leads me to believe that, you know, despite having the correct number of stitches across here, that this stitch just kind of naturally leans in on one side, which is what I was experiencing. It was just naturally kind of slowly moving in on that one side, and I'm not really sure why, but like I said, I gave it a little bit of a stretch, and it did straighten out on both sides. But that makes me think that this stitch would probably be best for a blanket where you could add a border to keep that edging straight. You could add a border and it would stay straight. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this one. It is kind of a closed stitch. It's kind of it's very textured. I could see maybe it being like a sensory blanket or something, because it does have so much texture in it. It's not that I don't like it, I just did not care for the way the edge just kind of naturally wanted to curve in, despite you know, because I tried placing the first stitch of the even rows in the, or excuse me, the first stitch of the odd rows in the second slip stitch, as well as the first slip stitch, and it didn't seem to matter. They, you know, it didn't seem to matter at all. It still kept wanting to lean that way. So if anybody does have thoughts on this stitch, or if they're more familiar with this stitch, please let me know in the comments below if maybe I'm doing something wrong or what. But personally, I think that I would probably only use this stitch for blankets. But anyways, guys, that is the stitch tutorial that I have for you guys this week. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Maybe share it out to some of your yarny friends. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!